Welcome to the obligatory thermal thruster and hot hand thoughts video. Why obligatory? Well, I've already done one on the Dragon's Fury and one on the gas passer, so why not these two? There's also not really much to say about them to require a separate video for each, so with all of that said, it's time to end the Jungle Inferno saga before we get some sort of major update that changes a bunch of stuff. Let's begin with the hot hand. The hot hand is nothing special in all honesty. This weapon gives the player a small speed boost when you land a hit on an enemy with the downside of a minus 20% damage penalty. The problem with this weapon is that it just seems tacked onto the rest of the weapons released in Jungle Inferno. It doesn't offer anything new to the Pyro's arsenal that no other melee doesn't do. In fact, the way I see it, the power jack does the hot hand's job but better. Even with the damage vulnerability active, the hot hand staggers compared to it. I remember back in the tier list video I put the hot hand above the sharpened volcano fragment, but really that's only because it's more useful against every class rather than only 8. And while they seem to share the same damage penalty from looking, the hot hand actually trumps the fragment by just a smidge, as a bug currently shows the hot hand at a minus 20% damage penalty when it's actually only minus 14% per swing. Yep, you heard me right. The hot hand actually has the most unique attack method out of any melee in the game. Rather than a single swing like every melee ever, the hot hand actually has 2 swings per attack, which splits the damage it does in 2. Each slap deals 28 damage, totaling up to 56 damage overall if both hits land. In a way, this is the only redeeming part of the weapon, as this allows you to still damage your enemy if you miss the first slap, what with bad hit reg on melees and all. However, with that said, it means you have to hit the enemy more than you should, taking more time up, which can lead to death. I guess it's satisfying to get a slap kill icon pop up, but other than that, why would you try and use this? So overall, I'm not a fan of this weapon. Unless they release a strange variant, I'm not really going to be using this unless it's for shits and giggles. And finally, last but definitely not least, is the thermal thruster. The thermal thruster is the newest secondary Pyro was given and is a jetpack that gives the Pyro more mobility. When used, the Pyro performs an initial liftoff where he sort of hops off the ground slightly. Shortly after, the Pyro will blast off in the direction they were facing. It's also worth noting that teammates next to the beginning of the jump will be extinguished, and any enemies nearby will be pushed back slightly. And if they land on one, the resultant stump will deal 3 times standard falling damage, pretty much taking what the man treads does and sticking it here. While it's not noted, the player receives an additional 30% knockback from all sources while equipped, as well as taking reduced falling damage while using the jetpack. These stats sort of reward an in and out playstyle, meaning getting in and cause some havoc and then get out as soon as possible. You'll have to plan ahead of time however, as the thruster only holds 2 charges at a time, with each being regained after 15 seconds. You'll also have a locked holster duration at 0.8 seconds, even with weapons that quicken your switch speed like the degreaser. It also has an interesting taunt kill to say the least, taking the amount of taunt kills Pyro possesses up to 4 unique ones across 11 weapons. The thermal thruster, as previously said, gives the Pyro a huge amount of mobility to work with. This allows a Pyro to access areas of the map either previously blocked off to them from normal movement, or allowing them to reach an area faster than usual. The balconies on 2 Fort, for example, are much more easily accessible because of the thruster, allowing you to go up and attack snipers that don't suspect you, if there are any. Even if there aren't, you've skipped quite a big chunk of the enemy base, allowing you to grab the intel faster. The thermal thruster also allows for a Pyro to move towards the objective faster in pretty much any mode due to the quick burst of speed, meaning you can grab that control point or push that payload a lot quicker than using just a power jack. In fact, a combination of the two allows for some serious speed. However, even with all the funny taunt kills, faster movement, more mobility, etc., there's one negative that comes with using the thermal thruster, and in my opinion, it's a major detriment to the Pyro's survivability, and that's the fact that, well, you have no secondary weapon. That's right, you're left with only your primary and melee. And you might be thinking, well, isn't that enough to survive? And in most situations I would agree. However, the vast range of secondary weapons Pyro has is hard to ignore, from shotguns to long range flares that help you be more mobile while still offering decent damage, to a gas passer. You have to at least admit that secondaries are handy for the Pyro. Flamethrowers and melees will only get you so far, as you're required to be up close anyway, and weapons such as the flares can offer an alternative by letting your Pyro attack from a safer distance. So really overall, I guess it depends on the way you want to play Pyro. Do you want to have a reliable secondary at all times in case, or would you rather have the thermal thruster to allow for a greater range of accessibility across all maps? This isn't to say the thermal thruster is bad though, far from it. It's a great weapon in its own regard and gives the Pyro a way to play that was previously only really replicated by soldiers and demos. So yeah, those were my thoughts on the remaining 2 weapons the Pyro received back in the Jungle Inferno update. If I had to rank everything overall, it would go Dragon's Fury at the top, followed by the Thermal Thruster, then the Gas Passer, finally ending with the Hot Hand. But what do you all think of these weapons? Let me know down below. And as always, this has been your Fem Pyro enthusiast BonOakley signing out. See you guys in the next one.
Ooh, this is some good art! It's so good it's making me hungry for cock waffles. Gimme!
Huh? What? Oh, you're still here. I guess watch another video up there. Now leave me alone. I want some peace and quiet for once.
Ha ha ha!